Okay, so it's 6:13 on the 17th on Saturday, which happy birthday to someone out there special. So it's last night, man. It was weird. My dreams last night were so freaking weird. Like the other night, I had that dream where there was all these alligators eating these people. It was intense. And then last night, I don't even know because there was a lot of stuff going in this dream, but then all of a sudden, it was like I was driving somewhere and there was all this stuff all over the road. And some of it was like jumping up at my car. And I didn't know what it was. I was like thinking, is this some kind of snakes? What is this? And I know I was like, I can see the road. I can see all the stuff on the road. And I go down and had to do something, then turn around and drive back. And when I was driving back, and I don't know, was it, maybe it was when, I think it was when got to the place I was going, that then I found out about these turtles. So they were some kind of turtles, which I can't remember. They were calling them something, but then they were saying like they're called volcano turtles. But they didn't have shells on. So they were like these turtles out of their shell, and they were huge, huge, huge. And they were all over the road where you couldn't be driving on the road. Like you couldn't help but be hitting them. They were all over the road. And then it seemed like this mix of these weird, like eel snake things or something. I don't know what the hell they were, but they seemed more vicious, like little monsters. And but all these big turtle things were laying on their back all over the road. And I was having to drive, and I was trying to not run over them once I knew what they were, because then I could see them laying there. And but there was some times like where you couldn't help but run over them, and you could see them bracing for impact and stuff. Like you could feel their tension. And I had this whole little like side dream thing of like, well, if I should go and catch them and then save them. And then I all of a sudden switched into this other guy and I don't know if I was watching this on TV or something. And he had gone and gotten a whole bunch and had them as pets now. And so then I was like, well, I wonder if I should do that. And I never got that far in the dream where I went and got them. But the whole part where I was driving and then I knew what they were, and I was having to run over some of them, which you think, oh, well, I had to run over them. Did I? Really? I mean, the road, like the road's this big, and then you've got them laying across, and you have no way to get around them, but they weren't dead. They were laying there, and then you'd see them like get ready. Oh, it was horrible. Oh, God, it was so horrible. So I don't know, like the past, I don't know, the past few nights there, I don't know, when was the alligator dream? Seems like it wasn't last night. I mean, it wasn't the night before last, I don't think. It seems like it was in the last couple days. I'm getting so lost in time. I've been saying for so long, I keep getting lost in time. And I'm just getting more lost in time. I'm just getting more and more lost. More and more, like, that's why I think why I do that, say the date and the time. Because it's like, it's kind of grounding. It's kind of like, okay, this is where we're at. Like, because otherwise it's just like, you're just there and things are just happening. And it's just like, you're here and it's just spinning around you and all these things are happening. And it's like, fuck. And then my dreams are so intense. It's like they're real. It's real hard for me to be able to tell the difference. I think the only way I even know the difference is because I get woke up during them and then I have to come out of them. And that's why I always feel so like out of it. It's like, oh my God. And so I feel really out of it this morning. I got woke up so many times, which now it does make me kind of question, like, is it like, because I had seen that thing about the dogs smell your stress. when you're dreaming, and that's why they'll wake you up. And so then it makes me think like, man, am I stressing in these dreams? Because some of them are stressful, man. And that's why she's waking me up, because it seems like she's uncomfortable, but are we like kind of connected into our discomfort? Which I've thought for a long time. Her and I have a weird connection I've never had with any other. I don't know that I've ever had it with any other human, much less an animal. But it's like our souls or our brains or something is connected. Like I could sit here and think, like she could be asleep, and I could sit there and think, oh man, I'm hungry. I want to go eat something. She'll awake and go straight to the thing like, I'm hungry too. It's like, it's the weirdest thing. And this has been going for, that's why it seemed like, I don't know that I realized like she was my spirit animal until that whole thing with the mountain lion in my yard. That's when I think I realized like she was my spirit animal. Is when I was shown the past life together. And then it wasn't just one, but the one in particular that I was shown was the one that haunted me as a child. It was the one that I relived every freaking night. It was horrible. And I don't know, like when you're reliving past life pain, if it's like you're just trying to let go of it, like it's still lingering, it's still, you're carrying it. And it was a traumatic death because I was eaten by an animal. And I don't think I was eaten alive. I think I was killed. But but every time I hear about people being eaten by animals, it just freaks me the fuck out. And I've always been super terrified of alligators and crocodiles and sharks. And bears somewhat, but to me it's like, well, just, I'm not gonna go out into the forest looking for them. And my one husband, who was real outdoorsy, you'd want to. He ran across bears a few times on his hikes. And it's like, hell to the no, do I want to? There's no freaking way I want to run into a bear and take my chances on that. I couldn't even believe when there were so many women, and it was like, I choose the bear, I choose the bear. It's like, Buck, I'll take my chances with a man. I'll fucking, the bear is like 10 times stronger than a man. It's like a man can't even fight a bear. It's like, hell no. I'll take my chances with the man. A bear is a lot more risky, if you ask me. And there's something, so on some of the videos I've seen, it's kind of weird because I keep seeing these videos that there's being these late night meetings and stuff is getting passed. And then there was something big thing happened that got passed. And then they said, oh, all the people are freaking out. Most people don't even know. It's like such a show. And then they said, so Donald's going to, reel it in. He's not going to go there. And now I saw another one. So the other one, it seemed like it was, I might be getting videos mixed up though, but it seemed like it was that all these people who have roles out there in our control system, that they were going to have limitations and how long that they could stay in position. And so it was going to decrease their opportunity. And which I think most of the people will be like, hell yeah, it's about fucking time. And because I think anyone who has, well, I mean, I don't want to judge, but most people who have sense are like, less government, please. We don't need all of you guys. And so I think that, we would all be wanting that. And I don't know if it is because some of these people look at it as like, oh, look it, he's trying to take over the world. We gotta stop him. And they don't see, what's the real happenings are. So then they want to stop him from everything he's doing. And so then in order to keep the peace, he has to reel it in and then just keep like dropping nuggets to get us to think and see. But I definitely believe all of the nuggets are going to go together. Even Candace, the other day on her podcast, she even talked about the glass that you look into. And she said that they stole it. It was some, like technology, and it was held in this place that's got the big battle right now with all the people, the ran on the run. And I would imagine like the secret militaries went over there and stole it. And so they've been using it. And so, when I've talked about that, people were always like, oh, God, that's not true. That's not true. That's not even a real thing. Well, now Candace has said, oh, yeah, it's a real thing. And they stole it. There's more and more popping up about the sophisticated technology, because there was another thing, too. I can't remember what it was, but it was another thing about something with technology. Oh, well, the big one, too, going around is, which I'm not sure, what went down when they went over there to that base and took that guy when they got Moderna. So then when they went, supposedly, because it was odd. It's like, so, like I was saying, like, do they not have airspace radar or something? Do they not know, like, oh, somebody's coming in, and then they send their little planes up to either escort or blow you out of the sky? Like, that's what we do. It's like, so they don't have that ability, which you would think when the whole place is being run by the CARTEL, that they would definitely put money into protection. And so I thought that was strange. It's like, how did they get through and land right there on a base? Like, that is odd. And then once they landed, then they just ran across there, grabbed the guy out of his house or something, ran back, get on their thing. Wouldn't, like, just think about Scarface, man. I mean, it's like automatic weapons surround, like, I mean, it seems extreme, where you're like, how do they do this with magic? And then and this all supposedly took like 3 minutes or something. And then they said, well, yeah, we set up a fake place, and then we practiced like in Florida or something. I was like, what? This is so weird. So so what, you're gonna practice with all these people with automatic surrounding you? You're gonna practice like, so we're getting practice, like, we're gonna run out of the helicopter, we're gonna run in that building, we're gonna grab him, we're gonna run back out, we're gonna get in the helicopter, and we're gonna practice it a bunch of times. It's like, it seems like it's more complex than just that. So they supposedly, ran over there, grabbed him, threw him in the helicopter, and his wife too, and his little dog Toto. So he ran in, they threw him in the helicopter, and they took off. Which, again, where is the people, like, where's their protection? Like, don't they have any of those aerial protectors? And so but the story started coming out on X that what they were really did is they used some technology. And so, I know that those are real, these energy WEAPONs. And so they did something where the people couldn't do anything. It's like they were all dropping. And they said, I think they were saying like they were having nosebleeds, they couldn't move. I think they were vomiting and stuff. And it was like 300 people, and they dropped them all, like, and the people couldn't do anything. And so then they were like, yeah, we're not taking we're not taking them on again. Like, they don't want to take on America now. And then shortly after that, then Donald starts saying, well, you don't want to take us on. We're going to head on over to Mexico. We're going to get the rest of you guys. In which they had left a bunch of them already, a lot of the higher ups, because who was that? It was some news channel was asking somebody, one of these guys, I don't know, it was a Rubio or something, had him on the show interviewing him and saying, well, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Why'd you leave these other 4 guys? He's like, well, isn't it enough? We got this one. But yeah, it's just, to me, it's just all such a big show. It's just a big drama. But I think that kind of is also kind of leaking out like, oh, look, we got this technology, we got that technology, because people here are so stuck in technology is something they make up in the movies. Like, we don't, we're all like, you try and tell people like we're going to be in hover cars soon, and they're just like, oh God, nobody can believe that. It's like, you got to really wrap your head around the control that these people, the corporation, has over us. And the corporation is an entity that was created by these controllers. It's not just this haphazard thing, it was a takeover of our world. It was to push us out and put us under their control. And so the technologies are all legit. And there's gonna be way more. There's gonna be way more. And there was way more that was like hidden from us. So they have been keeping it under wraps. And when different people invent things, it can be a death sentence for them, because they want to keep us, just like it makes, like in this show that I saw, which I think they only did one season. I'm not sure. It was on Netflix. It was a long, long time ago. It was like, I don't know, 9 years ago or 10 years ago or something. And the show was, so how it was starting was, it was like a ship. So it was a ship of like a mothership, say, and it was earthlings. So it was all these people from Earth who had gone onto this mothership, and it was at this time of I don't remember if it was like a sickness or battles or the bad air, cold, hot, whatever the reason was, but these were supposedly the survivors. And so these survivors were put onto this ship, and they've been out in space zooming around with no place to go and just living in the ship. And it was a whole world inside the ship. So it was like, just like how we live now, only it was in a ship. And but they had like stores, food, like everything in there, to where it was like the people, I'm pretty sure, now I'm like, did they have stores? But I'm pretty sure everything was like, it had developed into like a little city inside this ship. And so but the, like captain or whatever, when it would be like, well, they had nowhere to land, and there would be things like they'd be watching the earth. I think they were just like going around the earth or something, watching it to see when it would be safe to land again, and trying to make communication or something. But anyway, so they've been out there for a long time, because now there's generations, there's people born out there. And so they are, having this whole life. There's generations now, there's dramas, there's all sorts of things out there. And I'm trying to think, was it somebody on the ship that, man, I can't remember that part now. If there was anybody on the ship that knew. But it was a lot like The Village, because then it's a world in a world in a world in a world. And that is what we are, a world in a world in a world. And so so at some point you see the ship isn't out in space. It's in a fucking big ass warehouse right here on Earth. And the scientists are watching. And they've been watching that long. It's become, people have been born there and grown up now. And that's why I was trying to think, well, was it a captain? Was it their scientist? Was it a doctor? Was there somebody on that knew? And then they came out and went into a place, and then that's how you saw the ship was inside a warehouse, and that it was a big giant experiment with these people's lives. And then I'm pretty sure they didn't bring back another season, because it's too fucking much disclosure, dude. It was like, this is true shit, man. That's what we are, is a fucking experiment. We are a fucking world in a world. And and then in the past, like, I don't know, past like 2 years or something, because I've always believed this, we're a world in a world, and that we are experiment, they're watching us and all of that stuff. And since they've been doing this so many different times, that they are more advanced than us. And so they know how to like go about taking over, like through corporation and stuff, without it being, I mean, a hostile thing. It just happens like organically, like the corporation runs out the mom and pops places, and we become more and more controlled. And even when we try and create independence for ourselves, that they just naturally come in and absorb our world, and they do it through monetary systems where we think like we're getting something for it, but it really has been this giant takeover. And so but a couple years ago, I heard that there is these like pods, these places that are under the ocean or in the ocean, and they are experiment things, just like that ship. So they are in these giant pod, like these big ship things, and they are kept down there in a world to see how they develop. And some of them are like still in the 50s, and they are not in, but really time and the reference of time is all an illusion anyways. I mean, even when you start considering, like, we have all these different places that are in different years and stuff, it's not a set thing. And that is also where you branch out from there. It's like, well, why am I freaking aging myself through their fucking bullshit, their BS? That's why I think it's going to be the best thing with this 13-month thing, when people start realizing, like, yeah, why are we going by this? I just think that is such a aha moment for people. But so they have places that they've been doing this that are even more contained. But I think that we're probably as contained, we just don't realize it. I think if we were to pull out and see, like, we're very contained. I mean, there's like all this weird stuff. I think it's part of like this sun and moon thing. But I think that the actual concept of the sun and the moon has to do more with the two sides of us. Everything is like representing what it is that we need in order to observe ourselves and elevate ourselves and be able to grow. So it's like an expression of what it is that we need. And that's like why when I say, like, there's people out there that are going through certain things and it's a part of their storyline. And you don't need to interject yourself into everybody else's storyline, because everybody has their own independent stories going here. And it is and some are more in the unraveling of certain things, but that we are so we everything here is like an expression of what it is that we're here to go through. And I saw this person doing this video this morning, and I was like, yeah, see, this is, I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, this is, and they were talking about the dark sun, the black sun and the white sun. And so the yin to the yang, so the two opposing forces, and we're here to find the balance between the two forces. But we are the two forces. We are the sun and the moon. And during times of ignorance, which would be the times of darkness, so in the dark times, or what, however he said it, so the dark, what is that called? Because we call it something. The Dark Ages. Okay, the Dark Ages, I think is what. But in those times, those are places where we are ignorant and we're disconnected from ourselves, which is this current time where people are so disconnected from themselves. And that's why they have to pull in the light in order to connect, to find their balance. But it is when you think about the world being an expression of what it is we're going through. And that is why, yeah, like yesterday where I was saying, like, when this emotional, like a bomb of emotions that occurs in our collective, that is what is going to cause this big eruption in our world. And so that to me is like when it all falls apart. It's like the firmament crashing down, the ice wall melting. It's like this whole blow, but it's the collective of emotions that creates this like this singular event or something. But all these things that are happening are to lead us up into it, of this searching for ourselves, trying to find ourselves. And then this morning I also saw this astrology girl, and she was talking about, okay, so Stella, please don't. Just stop. Let me finish what I'm doing. Okay, then just come over here and sit. I don't know what to tell you. Okay, I get it. Yeah, I know. Okay, you can say it 100 times, and I don't know what you want me to do. Oh, Lord, lady, just come over here by me. Or get yourself comfortable. You don't like where Ruthie's at? You don't like... Okay, Stella, just stop. I'm going to finish this. So, the astrology girl, she was talking about, okay, so the year of the horse starts on the 17th, which is going to be a big shift in like the direction and the speed that things are going to start going at. So things are going to like take off. Like the horse is coming out of the gate. Stella, stop it. Come over here or something. Knock it off. Ugh, see? How could you sleep through this? This is how she communicates always. Everything is a whining. Okay, Mrs. Drama. Don't knock into my thing. Know how you love to do that. She's just bitchy. She's always like, I don't like this. I don't like that. She's just bitchy all the time. And I'm sure she's got it. I mean, she's got arthritis and it's fucking still freezing cold, even though that all of the frost finally melted, but it's still freezing cold. I mean, it's just got a chill in the air. It's just chill to the bone. And when you got arthritis, that is not comfortable. And so she has to move all the time, you know? And she makes sure that I know every time she's got to move. It's always a drama. It's like, girl, it doesn't matter. You still have to move. You know, there's nothing I can do to fix it. Oh, she pushed on a little. Okay. Can we sit here like that for a minute? God, she's precious. I love her so much. She can drive me crazy, but I love her so much. Okay. So anyways, this girl was saying, so she did bring up about the year of the horse, and it starts the 17th of February. And so, which there was some people who were saying, so stuff is, and I can't remember who this was. I think it was another astrologer, but it could have been, you know, something else. I don't know, but the stuff is going to start happening today. And so is, oh, it was somebody talking about the eclipse. That's what it was. And they were, so the eclipse is also going to happen at the same time as this, we change, into the year of the horse. And oh my God, I swear to God, these things. The other day, my other one, Ruthie broke it. She chewed the cord off. So now I'm back on this broken one. I have to order another one. These things are so wonky fucking. Ugh. So anyways, the allergies. So anyways, the eclipse seems to like it's gonna fall like right at the time of this horse is coming out the gate. And the lady who was talking about the eclipse, and this being such a significant eclipse, it's going to happen on the 18th or the 17th of March. No, February. So the 17th of February. But there's something that's going to be the 17th or 18th of March too, I think. Oh, it's one of my sister's birthday. But, man, I don't know. But anyways, on this one, what this girl was saying. So the one lady talking about the eclipse. So she said though, before the eclipse, it's stuff starts happening about a month ahead. So starting today, we should start seeing, I don't know if it's like, the theory is like things being exposed, things you start seeing that you have been hidden from you, or you've been hiding from, or something. And something about the eclipse is to show you. And so up until that occurs, you have all these events that are the lead into it. So in any of those cases, you just want to be really honest with yourself. You really want to look at things. You don't want to be in denial. You want to be real and authentic with yourself. And so, and I think that people are getting better at that. They're getting better at being real with themselves. And so so that was what the astrology girl was talking about. I mean, no, the girl talking about the eclipse thing was talking about that. And then the astrology girl, so she was talking about that this astrology that is happening with this Neptune Pluto thing or something. And then there's even different astrology things, like there's tropical, there's, I don't even know all these ones because I'm not, I just hear some of them and I can kind of get what they're talking about, but I'm not an expert in all of this stuff. So so she was saying that, and I don't remember, it goes in with this, and maybe something's going to happen. Like she was saying something about March 17th or 18th and about alignments and stuff, but also about February and starting in February 17th, but then, and then she said something about the horse thing too. And so it all kind of goes together. But she was saying that the stuff that is going to happen, the way the planets align and when they aligned before, in this same thing, what happened then and what is probably going to happen now. And so she said, things come to the surface about how you live. And there's so much about, people can't afford to live. And we are really stuck in this, inflated economy where people are struggling and stuff. And a lot of people are like leaving America to go look for places that are cheaper, but it's all over the place. She even brought up about Portugal is running its own people out. Like can't afford to live there. So every place is I don't know they think that they're just going to have billionaires living in, how many houses can they take up? And the rest of us are going to be living in the streets. I don't know what their plan is, but but that it's kind of like the part that you want to look at is your own judgment, like on money and what it is that kind of holds you back. This thing is all crooked now. Is so what it kind of like your own feelings towards money, which this has been brought up so much through like this manifesting kind of narrative that people talk about, like, if you're not getting rich, it's because you have a bad you don't believe that you deserve it, you have bad feelings around money and all that stuff. This is driving me crazy. I'm going to try and move it again. So the different things are going to be coming up. So you reevaluate what it is that you think you deserve or what it is you think you need, and going more into the concept of living more luxurious and deserving to have how you want to live, like to not be so bound and held back by these obstacles, these the programming kind of how it's hard to get anything, and we got to live so, like, living in apartments and not being able to have your own place and stuff like that. And so it's kind of like this finding yourself and what it is that you really want. And then what it is when we really want it is when we start bringing it into us. And so she's saying that that's going to kind of happen. We're going to be seeing things that are going to happen in the housing market. And she said back in the 70s when they lined up like this before, there was stuff that was happening in the housing market and stuff. But that's kind of like what the part of us that needs to be processing is kind of like elevating ourselves to being like, well, we deserve to live in a nice place. And if we want a pool and we want a hot tub, like we can have the things we want, and to stop being so, well, that's for rich people. We'll never get there and stuff. Quit having like that kind of attitude and start thinking, you deserve to have those things that you want, and start moving in that kind of direction, and quit feeding yourself these stories of you can't have what you want, you don't deserve it, you got to work hard for it, there's not enough for everybody, because it's limitless what we can create for ourselves. But they keep us in this concept of limitation and keep us corralled in thinking that we don't deserve the things that we want, because they don't want us to start creating the world that we want, because then it's going to show us how powerful we are. And so it's this battle. That's like the battle between the light and the dark, and the battle is within us. And that is the part of this world is representing, when you start looking at the micro macro, and you start realizing that the things that are happening are to represent what is happening in you, and that the in you is the part you need to focus on. That's what I'm constantly saying. All this stuff is happening, but everybody keeps focusing outside of themselves when you need to be focusing on what's inside of yourself. How does this affect you? What do you think about? How is it that you let go of these things? Like, this hit me, and I know I already talked about this the other day, but it was like going over and over and over in my mind last night when I was going to sleep and going to bed. And it was you all these women who want to be, because there's a big thing about mother wounds, which I even talked about that. Like, I mean, and the mother wound is, it's not just like, oh, your mother wounds, like it's more complex. Like, you got to look at it deeper. And it is because it's got a lot to do with a lot of things. And because it has to do with your judgment, why you think this person needs to be this way, and being birthed and carrying through, and being an extension. In your extension, you are an extension of like your mother at the time that she had you. So you carry those wounds forward, and then it's up to you to process through them. But so many people look back at their mom and hold it as resentful towards their mom, but it's part of your not like duty, but as a part of it's a part of your template, part of your template of healing, of expansion. You don't want to just say healing all the time. Like, it's an expansion. So it's a letting go, and it's a growing from. So it's a part of your wounds that you are choosing. You choose to come in at that time of your mom's life to carry that forward, because it's part of the wounds that you carry, that you are also trying to bring together, or to like help you through the process of what it is that you're trying to expand, or to heal, or to grow, or to move through. And so it's a part of your journey. And then something that's like so represented though right now in our world, and this astrology girl even said, because we're leaving a time of self-indulgence in our healing. And that is this concept, like what I've talked about, where people are like, no contact. I'm no contact. I'm not talking to them ever again. I want nothing to do with them. But really, that is you caging yourself in, because you need to have these transits of these different people. You need to have these injuries, these things to happen, because that's your process. That's what you're here to process through. And this self-indulgent kind of like protective nature of like cutting everybody off is really a stagnation in our growth, or our evolution as beings. And so that's going to kind of flip that. It's going to become more into the light, where you're going to see it more. And so there's going to be like a shift in how we approach our experience. And so in this thing about this mother wound thing is that when you but in our self-indulgent kind of society where these women sit back and they want something but they're not willing to give it, so they'll sit back and they will judge their mother, and they will, she should have been this way, she should have been that way, she's not good enough, I don't appreciate this, I don't like that, and not even give her any room to grow or to evolve herself. Then you hold her in uh strict kind of ruling, a strict kind of narrative, a strict kind of boundary, and your expectation of who and what she should be, and all the judgment that we put out towards this individual, which is all a part of, you got to remember, this is all a part of this evolution, that is this creation of this divinity, this divine feminine, of this approach to this elevation, because it's each of us who has to begin to elevate the woman before. So we have to acknowledge her as an individual and appreciate her in order to get what it is we're looking for, because so many women, they want to be appreciated, they don't want to be judged, they want to be appreciated for their individuality and to be acknowledged, and not be so judged, and feel like that they are having to change, but then they want the person before them to change, they want the person before them to be different, and so they're getting what they are putting out. And that's the thing, is like, you have to see, like, when you have your mother before and you're judging her, that's what you're putting out, so it's going to come back on you. So it is this, to me, has it to do with this movement forward, is this acknowledging and healing that wound, letting go of your pain and suffering, your judgment, and your moving towards forgiveness, and letting go of the things that you feel like did you wrong or whatever, and to acknowledge this person as an individual who had their own struggles, their own world of, their own devices, their own problems, and that it wasn't personal to you, and it was their own struggles, and that when we can acknowledge that and we can accept them for who they are, then the acceptance will begin to come to us for accepting who we are. And it's even another thing that's kind of weird about that, is people don't realize when they're judging their mom, they're also judging themselves, because then they think that they're not good enough. And so then that you put that energy out, and then as it comes back to you, you blame your mom, and it's their fault. I could have been a better person if it weren't for them. It's like, people just don't realize how much of the energy, that's what I'm saying about this world, it really is a representation of what it is you're going through, because how many people are putting out certain things, but then they don't like how it comes back to them. So it's that, I think when the astrologer lady is talking about, like, we're going to start seeing things with clarity, and it's going to give us more opportunity to move in the right direction when we can see clearly what it is that we are, like, our own obstacles, what it is that we're doing to keep ourselves stuck. And that is a big one. And I see it all the time. Like, even when that lady I was talking about the other day, and I said it in her comments, and she still hasn't said anything. She probably blocked me. She probably, or, deleted the comment, because a lot of people don't want to face that. They don't want to face, because there is this indulgence into this healing. And it's like a protection, a protective nature of humanity, of the ego. And so it's, but you got to break through all of these obstacles. And so when, because I've seen her for years, and when I had first seen her, and when I first saw her, she was all, like, she's the Anunnaki queen and stuff like that. But then she started doing those videos trying to humiliate her mom, and show her mom is so horrible. Look what I have to deal with. She's the worst. And but when you're watching it as an observer, then you're like, oh my gosh, you are just creating drama. If I was your mom, I'd be like fucking sick of your shit too. And I'd be like, get the fuck out of here. I don't need this shit. And so that's basically what her mom was doing. Get the fuck out of here. I don't need this shit. I mean, you're a goddamn adult, aren't you? And and you're acting like a 12-year-old in here. Look what my mommy's doing to me. It's like, grow up, man. And I sound harsh, but I mean, this is where we're at in this kind of realization of what it is that we're putting out. And when we want things to change, it's up to us to make the change. And so she had that whole drama, and then she had to leave, and then she was carrying on about like what she was going through with all these other dramas. She couldn't get along with these people. She had to be here. They're crazy. All of this whole thing. And then I kind of lost uh I mean, she wasn't in my algorithm for a long time and I didn't see her. And then all of a sudden she came back and I started seeing her videos again. And I don't even remember the ones that I've seen, you know, her whole thing is about healing, like but really, I mean, that's the thing, is that you are, that's the part of role modeling, is you're showing it in real time. You're showing what you're going through in real time. And that's where people can learn from what you're doing. And sometimes it is like learning from your mistakes, learning from what you're doing wrong and thinking, ooh, I'm not doing that. I'm doing something different. And so anyways, but the other day when I had seen her and she was talking about, you know, like her kids now judging her and just focusing on her mental illness and not wanting to have a relationship with her, and how she feels so judged by them and they're not seeing her for who she is and she's not being accepted. And it's just like, dude, you were doing this to your mother. How do you think it's going to come back different on you? What you put out comes back on you. And so the but that's the part that people don't want to understand. That's the part of like how this place works, how energy works, how the experience has to do with this. It's like a learning curve, a way for us to learn. And it is like, if you want something, you have to give it, you have to put it out. And that's what I talk about, like this big shift in humanity, in this creation of the new world. It's like you can't get in there unless you're putting that out. You can't just be like, oh, that place looks good, I'm going there. I'll go have dinner in that place. It looks like good. Well, if you're not putting out what that place is, then you can't get in the door. And that's going to be the thing, is so many people don't realize, like, you have to shift. You have to start putting out these things. You can't be like, oh, well, it looks good. Everybody there is nice to each other and loving, so that's where I want to be. Well, if you're not able to give that out and put that out to the world, then you won't be in alignment with that place. So you won't be able to get through the door. You can't enter the gates without being able to carry that same energy. And in order to carry that energy, you can't just think it and be thinking like, well, I could do that too. You got to do it. You got to put it into action. That's manifesting, putting it into action. You can't just sit back and just think about it, think about it. You got to put it into action. So you got to walk the walk. You got to go on the path. You got to do what you got to do. You can't sit here and just, I'm just going to sit and think myself into it. Unless you're in deep thought and you're making changes, you gotta make changes. You gotta change in directions, because most of us have been, heading for the cliff in life and struggling and blaming it on everybody else. It's like you're feeling pushed. That's the victim mentality. Everybody's pushing you off the cliff and you're just trying to survive. It's like you got to suddenly realize, like, no, I'm letting myself be pushed off the cliff. I'm cornering myself. I've got to walk through the crowd. And it doesn't matter if they're all looking at me and laughing and thinking I'm an idiot. Just let them. And then it brings to my mind, that idea of that one dream I was talking about, where I was at the mall and all of the people were just so vague. They were like shadows of people. And it's like, really, that is the thing. Like, that's where I think this whole NPC thing comes in, because I still see spiritual people always talk. I just saw this one of these videos that was like, people are going to start to realize, like, all of these beings or whatever, all these soulless people who are NPCs or whatever, are really the expression of yourself trying to teach yourself. So I don't know, we'll see. But to me, things that are alive have souls, and we do have an expression of learning here through the environment. That is this idea of like a video game or a movie or something. So it is expressing back to us what it is that we need to learn from. And let me see, because I'm getting kind of like, woo, woo. Um, that's a siren, not woo woo. It was a siren, because I feel like it's like I'm getting like, there's too much. Hold on. There's too much stuff going around. I can't keep it all straight. Okay. So the, so you have to be willing to put out what it is that you want. And you can't just be willing to do it. You have to do it. And that takes work. It takes you creating, changing yourself, because we're all going from being like toxic to ourselves to being more of an advocate to ourselves, more of a support system to ourselves. Oh, the NPC thing. Okay, so the NPC thing. So, um, okay. Okay, so the NPC thing, what I was saying was, like the shadows. Like the shadows are like this NPC kind of concept thing, but it is, it's beings or souls that are on autopilot, like I've talked about, when they're in their lower chakra confirmation, then they're on autopilot. And when they're on autopilot, they don't need to be like vivid. They're just a shadow of themselves. So they're like a shadow of themselves, just kind of stuck in a loop, and they don't know how to, it's like they don't come into a process of thinking. And it's kind of like all the voices around them are just a part of the noise, and they don't know how to kind of yeah, kind of like compartmentalize, to be able to, oh, like, well, that's the voices of this, that's, and start organizing and coordinating their adventure, their experience. And so they're kind of like lost in the experience, and like reliving their trauma. And and that is this kind of shadow figure of of um of an expression. So an expression being a soul, so an energy. And so in that expression, it hasn't, like, what is that? Kind of like it evolved. They haven't evolved out of their pain and suffering. So they're kind of trapped. It's kind of like in a cell. So the body, the experience kind of becomes a cell in their looping of being stuck and not being able to overcome or override the 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 structure of the experience. Which, like I was saying, like that guy was making sense to me about because the micro macro, and how everything that's happening is an expression of what everything that's happening inside of us. And so this whole thing about the dark sun and the light sun, but it's really, we're all looking at the sky, we're all watching for this big event, but where the event is happening is in each and every one of us. And then it begins to express outside of us. And he said when this occurs also, that there's going to be a huge aurora borealis that is going to completely cover our whole concept of like the earth. it's going to be engulfed in this green lighted energy. And that is going to be us in our heart chakras, like coming into alignment. And so it's going to be like this, the green energy has to do with the chakra of your heart chakra and those, love. And then, but when that happens, it's going to kind of turn on the circuit board. And so all of the circuits of the different chakras will kind of come on, which, you think about these people who are like trying to get their chakras removed. It's like, you need your chakras, I would think. Like, I would not advise you to go try and get one of these spiritual people to help you remove your chakras. And, so then the chakra system kind of lights up, which when you think about this whole kind of thing about this flipping of the energies, is this like aha moment in people's lives of realizing that things aren't as what they think they are. And it's been happening little by little to so many of us. And it's like, that's the ripple, the wave of change. But there's going to be a spectacular event where it happens to a whole bunch of people all at once. And that's why I was saying, yes, I've said it a bunch of times over the years, but that is to me, that is the big thing. That's the big shift. The big shift that we're all looking for is this separation, is this, is this moment where it is, like acknowledged. But to me, before, I was always thinking, that there would be this opportunity for everyone to see the truth, to heal. But then as things have continued, then you begin to see like, well, the truth is all around, but it's different people's denial of the truth, or inability to look at the truth, or their resistance to the truth, or their biases that hold them back. So it's like themselves holding themselves back and not wanting to see the truth. So I don't know um, if that moment would be the moment of separation, because the moment of separation could also be a slower process than what we're thinking. But to me, there's going to be this moment of acknowledgement of what is the unseen, and the kind of slap to the face of what people are going to experience, because it's going to be such a hit on their ego, such a hit on their emotions and stuff. And like I was saying yesterday, that is going to be a big energy. It's going to be a huge energy for people to suddenly see and realize. And that is going to be like this shift in humanity. That's when we're going to shift towards this more, like a more of a spiritual healing kind of society. Which, another thing, speaking about the monks and the gurus and stuff like that, is because there was supposedly, like, in this idea of like Atlantis, and I don't remember if it was Mateus de Stefano who I heard about this, but there was so there was a period of time where people were super spiritual, and I think it has something to do with the pyramids and stuff, but the people were super spiritual, but then the people began to just focus on spirituality, focusing just on spirit, which is also kind of a um what is that? Kind of an escapism, kind of a way to escape the world at large. And um, so in that shift where people became too focused on spirituality, it had to flip. It had to flip. And where we want to find balance is not being so focused on spirituality and being out of here, but to be here and be present in our experience, because that's where we gather our our expansion, is being present in the experience, going through the experience. That's why I say, for these people who, the like the love and lighters who are like, hi, don't look, that that they are holding themselves back. And so it really is more of not just being so caught up in spirit and in that world to be pull yourself out of this one, but to be present in this one so you can learn and experience. And it almost, even when you are pulling yourself out into, just spiritual all the time, is that you are almost in a sense of judgment of this world. So it's like, this world's not good enough. I can't be here, which, I mean, we're kind of all going through that at some level. And that's why, so much of it is to find this balance, is to be in this world but not be of this world, but to not try and escape this world, because you are here for a reason, and you're here to expand and to grow and to learn. And the experience isn't as overwhelming or as scary as what we think it is, because we get so caught up in this idea of that they can hurt us or they can kill us and all that stuff. But really, that they're holding things over our heads that aren't true. And so I think it's important to remember, you as a spirit, that you have died millions of times. You're an expert at it. There's nothing you need to fear about it. But they do have such a way of keeping people confused, that in rewriting the story and trying to tweak our structure, our DNA, and trying to tweak who we are, that so many people, they come out of their bodies and they're confused. And so but this is the time of clarity. This is when we're clearing all of that up, and we're starting to communicate in different levels, and we're overriding the system that they've created. We're overriding them. And that a lot of the stuff, that they're doing, it doesn't matter. Like, I'll see them, like, there's another thing, Donald put through last night at 11 p.m. or something, that in the courts, that before, if you went to before the Supreme Court, you were setting a thing for everybody, but now it's going to be individual. So each person would have like an individual thing. It's not going to be like, well, I want the rights, I want this for, and then it's for all women. It's like, because we're all individuals. And so, I think that they do keep a lot of stuff confused. So I don't know, there's these constant things, but I think so much of it has to do with us, of not getting too caught up in it, because it is like a tornado. And to be able to just, the information that comes in, well, what do I think about that? Yeah, well, I'm an individual, and if I do feel like I have a battle to fight, then I guess it's my battle to fight. Maybe if it's, a group of us that we come together, we're a class action, we come together and we move in the direction of, going before. But the thing is, in our new shift of reality, we're not going to have these overseers. We're not going to have these people, telling us the rules and stuff. We're going to create our own rules. We're not going to have rulers. We're going to, but it takes an evolution. It takes us to evolve into this, where we don't need this structure. We don't need these gatekeepers, that we know how to mind our business. We know how to, and that's the part where we're learning and loving. We're learning how to accept. We're learning how to be mindful. We're learning how to be kind. We're learning how to not, just because there's an opportunity to do something, that doesn't mean you just go do it. It means, like, think about it. Like, is this going to harm anybody? What will this entail? Like, what am I putting out into the world? And it's when we become more mindful like that, and start really being more thoughtful in our presence, then that is where we start creating this other way, this other state of being, this other opportunity of existence. And so, and there's, lots of people going in that direction, and it's a self-guided thing. We have our guide inside of ourselves. But so, I don't know, because we do have all these opportunities of seeing the truth presently. And so I don't know when this big shift happens. I don't know when the dark sun and the light sun meet, and because it is an individual thing too. It's when you begin to find your own balance, and you become equal in your dark and your light. And so, but it's a range of energy, or the range of events. And so, yeah, it kind of is like, I kind of see it like a comet. And like there's a lot of people at the front of the comet, a lot of people who started the spark, who lit that on fire and took that energy and went. And so it's like the way showers think of, they lit that spark and took off. And then all of the ones that start taking off, but as it goes, it gets wider and more people. But towards the front is, a smaller crowd, which, I haven't thought about this, and this may sound strange, but, yesterday, like I have a few ladies on here that they've been with me for, years. And so, and we've developed a relationships, we've developed friendships and a support system. And at some point, I was being shown like the Jesus, and I'm not saying like I'm a reincarnation of Jesus, so that's not what I'm saying, but in the concept of Jesus and his apostles. And so the apostles being the support system, or the same vibration. And so it's like it is, what would Jesus be without the apostles? And so it's like, like Jesus strikes the match, and then the flame starts, but it's the group that creates the flame. And so it's the group together, because who am I on my own, and so it's what you create. And so it is like, to me, that these women are like my support system. They're my flame. I struck a match, and, there's lots of people out there who are like, oh, you're going to start a fire. It's like, but then the flame that comes is your support. And so then you begin to create a community of support of, like-minded people. And we were all on there together on the live yesterday, and we were talking. And I was even getting this concept of like us all being from somewhere else. Like we all know each other, our souls all know each other, and we were someplace else, and we all came in together like, okay, we're coming as a group, and we're going to go in, and we're going to, shake shit up. We're going to go in, and we're going to become who it is that we're here to become. And that, and I think that there's going to be like more people realizing like your real connection with people, and that you came here in groups, you came here with other people, and had to find each other, like somebody striking the match. That's this whole thing of the light bringer, the way shower. But then when I was just seeing that as the comet, so the whatever the nucleus, but then the flame it's like the beginning of the whole thing, and then it starts becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. So the more in each person, it reminds me of this commercial, and I've talked about this before because I've seen this so many times throughout this whole thing. It was a commercial for what was it called? Clairol, some shampoo, when I was a kid. It was like a popular kind of shampoo. And we didn't have zillions of shampoos back then. And this one, I could see it, but I can't make it out. But it was, in the commercial, it was a girl, and she's like, confirmation, I was using Clairol herbal essence, and then I loved it, and I told somebody, and then she told somebody, and then she told somebody, and then she told somebody, and the whole screen starts filling up, because each person that tells somebody, and then they tell two people, and then it just goes and goes and goes and goes, and the whole screen fills up really quick, because how it spreads. And that is really how it really does move, and how a comet of change really is created. Is, like I can't just do it by myself. It is the people who, what I say strikes a chord with them, and then they also relay that, and then they tell two people, and then and it just goes and goes and goes and goes. And that is the commitment to change. That is the walk in the walk, the showing the way through going on the path. It's the actual putting it into not just thinking about it, but putting it into action. And that's the thing where a lot of people who are stuck on this manifesting and stuff, who take like Abraham Hicks, there's some things that you can't just sit and think about something. You have to put it into action. And you have to, when you put it into action, you have to overcome all of the obstacles as you continue, because there's a lot of things that will try and put you off from moving ahead into your manifestation. And so it's you learning what you deserve throughout the path, throughout the journey, which has to do with the wizard laws and the path, and has to do with like everything is like it's represented to us all over the place in our lives. But anyways, I was thinking it is really so much like that. When I was talking to them yesterday, I was just thinking like it's because you're not, it's like it's a team effort to create change. That is the collective, the unity. It's us all coming together. And so anyways, I just thought it was really cool. And it was really fun. It was fun on our live, and chatting and talking and stuff, and then really thinking about like, oh my gosh, when we all know each other from somewhere else, and we've come here to work together to create a new beautiful world, and to bring these different things to the table, because each individual brings something unique. Everybody has their own thing. It's not just representing me, it's them each beginning to represent themselves, and that's spreading out into the rest of the world, where everybody starts becoming, this themselves, this authenticity, this spark of individuality. And that is where, kind of like we go back to create this beautiful thing, because when we're all trying to be the same thing, we can't create anything. It's when we all begin to take our pieces and put them together, and that's when we create something big and beautiful. And so it's really the people who are ready to create something big and beautiful, and being true to their own authenticity, to be true to themselves. That is the place that we're going. And so, yeah, it's not going to be able to be a place where people can drive by and go, oh, I'm going there. That looks like a good place. No, you have to do something to get there. In this case, you have to put out what you want. And, you want respect. You got to put it out. You can't be like, well, they're not worth it. They don't deserve it. They're not good enough. It's like, well, then that's what you're going to get back. And that's where you're going to go back into those lifetimes of learning, because you have to be willing to put out acceptance. And when somebody, strikes you the wrong way, you got to figure out how to give forgiveness, and then it all centers back to these mother wounds. It's very representative to what it is that we need to do. And then it also has so much to do with this divine feminine, this feminine energy, because it has been contained under a patriarchy, so under a judgment that it's not good enough. And so that is where we have to make this move of walking into our own divinity, and this femininity, and which has to do with the womb, the mother, the birth cycle, the bringing life to something. And what we're bringing life to ourselves, we're bringing life to a new world. But it all goes together. All these things that I'm talking about today, it may sound like I'm rambling all over the place, but it all goes together to me, and it all fits. And so anyways, but it all starts with your mother, you know. And that's where I think, you really need to work on it. I mean, and it's just so obvious in our society. It's like all over the place. And there's so many people that won't have anything to do with their mother. They won't have anything. A lot of people won't have anything to do with their father either, but they've cut their parents off altogether, and they're judging their parents. Their parents aren't good enough. They do the same stuff all the time. Yeah, but how do we learn to do stuff different? It's like when the feedback system changes. Your mom can only do the same thing every time if you have the same response. You're playing the same game over and over and over. Put down those weapons and change the game, you know? Stop playing back bang I can see them. see all these different games, like the ones with the little paddles, the ones with the wall, the one, and start, but change the game. And you bring change. You think you have evolved and you've outgrown your parents, then, you should have good boundaries. You should be able to, when they're triggering you and saying this thing that you don't want to deal with anymore, then to be able to say, hey, this is what I'm talking about right here. And, and I know it's at all levels. I mean, I know that there's some that are just, criminal. And I mean, there's this kid who was being looked for, I guess, apparently was missing for 9 days, 12-year-old kid. And so, of course, there's always suspicion around the parents. And so now, though, the kid was in hiding, he was hiding out in, like, in the forest somewhere, and he had some kind of shelter and water, apparently. But he was his stepdad is too abusive, apparently, and his mom allows it or something. There's a whole thing now coming out, and um the dad got charges, the mom got charges, and then the stepdad. So then the stepdad, I think he tried to do himself in. I don't think he accomplished what he was trying, but then people are like, well, that's a big sign of guilt. So he's got a bunch of charges on him for, and the captain keeps telling the kid, like, you're not in trouble, because he was in hiding. They had this huge search party going, but he was too scared of his family life, so he had to go out there and try and find safety. So anyways, now they've taken him and they've removed him from that home, and the parents are under charges. So so I know, not everybody's situation is the same, but no matter what it is, even in the worst case, even if you really do have to, for your own safety, stay away from these people, is to just forgive, heal from it, and forgiving them. When you're holding on to anger and resentment and hate, you're holding on to that energy is in you, and you don't want to carry that energy. It's going to bind you in the loop of the entanglement, so that you have to continue. Okay, please. Okay, I guess my time's up. So it kind of, you continue in that loop of having to learn. So you don't want to hold on to those things, because it keeps you in the entanglement. So do the best you can to let go and move forward. Like Ruthie, she's moving forward. She's going around them. Oh, that was Ruthie. See, she knows how to use those bells. Okay, just a minute. There you go. Go, girl, go. So anyways, yeah, it's about time for me to be heading out. I'm not heading out, heading off for this. But tomorrow, so today we're not going live, but tomorrow we're going to go live again. And the thing I put up, the little thing, the countdown thing, it wouldn't let me on. So I couldn't, so I'm not going to be able to do, because I went over and over and over it, and it was not letting me, there was nothing to push. So I could, all of a sudden, it was just the little picture. And so I was like, what in the world? And I was trying to talk and nobody could hear me. So I had to go off, and then I was trying and nobody could find me. So I had to go off and message Crystal and tell her that I was had to start a different one, because I couldn't get onto that one. So I'm not gonna, and all I'm gonna do is tell you guys until I can figure out this thing of how the people do the little countdown, and then it counts, and then they're there. So it's set up as like on a calendar. So I don't know why mine wasn't working, but anyways, but for now, just figure, you'll just have to go into the lives. And then when you go on to the live place, then you'll be able to see, like, I'm live, whoever, all else. So, but it'll be 1 o'clock Central Time. So that's noon Pacific. That's 2 for Central and 3 for East Coast. And then, there was people from other countries and stuff. And I don't know, all the different times. But anyways, I'll have to just kind of figure it out. I can try and figure it out, but there's a lot of different countries that was there the other day, like Australia, the UK, like I can't even remember. But so anyways, everybody will kind of have to try and figure it out. But but you can go into your clock thing on your phone and put in like US time, and you can pick Idaho, because Idaho is central. And then when you see it's 1 o'clock at that time, that's when it would be started. Or you can do New York. You can do New York time, and it would be 3 o'clock their time. So anyways, but tomorrow we will be back live, and it was fun. It was fun to just talk, and people get to talk about like whatever it is they want to talk about, and you have support. You don't have to sit there and feel like you're going crazy in this crazy world. There's people out there who are also want to talk about the stuff that's going on. So anyways, but for all the stuff I'm saying, it is very important on this healing, and everything in this world is to represent. And all the people who are kind of just the shadow of themselves are kind of stuck in the game. So in order to become, your vivid self, it has to do with you finding yourself and healing. So, and it starts, like forgiving your mom and moving forward from there. But you got to get to this thing of learning how to love yourself and forgiving yourself, and learning how to love and forgive everybody else, and moving towards being able to, zoom in, zoom out, direct your view, direct your perspective. And so, it's the choice of how you want to look at things, and being, that's where you start living the day you want to live. So it's all starts with you, basically. So we'll see what this day brings us to learn from, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.